All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is Selfless Little Gaming here with your podcast. We're going to be breaking down the divisional matchups this weekend. We're also going to be looking into the games. We're going to be breaking down like what each team needs to do in order to be successful. And we're going to give you guys our thoughts and opinions on basically what each team's got to do, what the outcomes potentially are going to be. And hopefully we're right, So I am Selfless _ Gaming. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. All of my socials are listed down below. This is my co-host, Littl3Jakob.
What's up, guys? Littl3Jakob. That's Little with a 3 instead of an E. You can also find me on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook page, as well, if you want to reach out to me on those socials.
Sick here. All right, man. So and break this back down. So then starting off with last week's games, honestly, man, like really besides the Dallas game and the 49ers game, there was like some really good first round matchups for the week one, like the wild card weekend. It was very exciting football. The 49ers beat Seattle 41-23. Cowboys beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-14. New York Giants upset the Minnesota Vikings 31-24. And then Buffalo beat Miami 34-31. The Bengals won against the Ravens 24-17. And then Jacksonville, one of the biggest comebacks in a while. Honestly, since the Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots, came back from a 27-point deficit to beat the Chargers 31-30. And in the famous words of Trevor Lawrence, you cannot write a better script than that. So, so many people say the NFL's rigged and stuff, and it's all scripted. I couldn't believe he said that at the end of the game. That was pretty funny. But yeah, first week, man. First round of the playoffs, pretty wild. Was there anything that stood out to you about the playoffs and like the breakdown of how the games went?
I think the thing that stood out to me the most, just from the like being able to catch as much as all the games. I was fortunate to catch all the games. I guess what's significant to me the most is just I feel like the play calling for some of these teams that one never really changed throughout the game. I felt like all the coaches came in with the game plan, and they stayed with it and they executed and it worked out for some of these teams that normally would make adjustments. Jacksonville kind of played the same game that they could the whole time, and that's part of how they made their comeback. I feel like the Chargers. I don't know. That was just such a crazy game. That one alone, it's like you'll probably never see something happen like that again, where a team makes that many mistakes.
Yeah.
With 3 turnovers in the first quarter, let alone 4. Still come back and win a football game, because I honestly did not watch the second quarter until after half when I checked the score and I saw it got closer. But if I was already ready to like write off that whole game after the first quarter with the 3 interceptions. The Chargers are just rolling. It's like they're blowing them out. So I was like, yeah, this is how the game's gonna go. And then I checked later in the third quarter, and it's a pretty close game at that point. And I was like, okay. And then you watch the rest of the game, it's just insane, man. The kind of game plans that these coaches have put together, and how they're able to roll with it. Teams like Jacksonville, teams like Dallas, all the teams that won, they got a game plan at the beginning of the game. They stuck by it, and it got them through all the way. They didn't make any changes how they played football all 4 quarters. And I think that's what kind of stood out to me is how prepared the teams were. They came and won.
I like during the Jacksonville game, it was in the second quarter, like to me watching it, and I said it like in our fantasy football group chat, I was like, dude, it's like they're actually like starting to move the ball on the Chargers, and they're actually like starting to kind of pick them apart, and they're like figuring it out. They just it's like if anything could go wrong, it did go wrong in that first half. And it was just like the ball did not bounce their way at all. And to me, like the second quarter, the Jaguars looked like the better team. It just was not being shown on the scoreboard. And I don't know, like Jacksonville's got some key players, such as like Trevor Lawrence. He's still a very young player, and I think the fact that they have a older veteran coaching staff, he's got some older veteran guys around him and stuff. I think that helps a young player like that. But that was just, I don't know, I mean, that was crazy to see. Like the fact that Khalil Mack and they had Bosa and they had a lot of their guys back on defense and everything. Like they really didn't make that big of an impact, honestly, in the game. So I was actually more surprised that when I saw Jacksonville coming back, it was almost, to me, I was kind of like, yeah, this doesn't surprise me because this is what the Chargers do. Like so many times this year, they'd be up on teams and they found a way to lose. You know, the other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into our divisional games is I said this on Tuesday at work. My buddies at work were asking me about the game. They're like, dude, what'd you think about the game last night? And I said, they're talking about the Buccaneers and the Cowboys game. And I said, that was the first time ever in me watching Tom Brady in 22 years. That was the first time to me that he actually looked old.
Yeah.
Like his throws were way off the mark, or they were like extremely short. It honestly just looked like the game was actually way too fast for him. And credit to Dallas, they did a lot of stuff to put pressure on him and bring pressure because that offensive line has been banged up all year. But like that was honestly the first time where it was just like watching him, you're just kind of like, dude, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like Father Time had finally started to show his face in Tom Brady's like playing career, in my opinion. And I don't know, like I never thought I'd see that day of Tom Brady, but I mean, bro, some of his throws were like nowhere close. They weren't even within like 5-10 yards of people sometimes. So, and that could be the receivers, that could be him. You know, I don't.
It's been like that all year though.
It has, but like that game, man, it just like I don't know. It just seemed like it stood out a lot worse to me in that type of game. You know. Hello, Tatsuya. What's up?
Because that's normally when he steps everything up a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, Tom Brady's always been a great player. I mean, if you watch football, you know who Tom Brady is. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that was his last game, man. I mean, I
hope it's his
with
last
everything
game.
that's going on with his personal life, and you know, like early in the season, he said he's like going through it, not having the best, you know, time outside of football, and then the whole thing with, you know, he's getting a divorce, and then it's probably time for this dude just to go home, man, because it doesn't really seem like playing football is really benefiting him. I mean, he's already got a lot of money.
It's true.
The last thing you want to do is just get seriously injured when you didn't have to. You know, it could happen to anyone, even if you're young too. So, yeah.
Do you think he goes one more year with a different team? Do you think he goes like one more year with, say, like he goes back to the Patriots and does like a farewell type tour thing? Because part of me wants him to be done because people will always remember the end of your career and not like, I mean, they'll remember what Tom Brady's accomplished. Nobody's done what Tom Brady's done. But you know how it is. Like people always remember your last few years and not like your entire career. And I don't want people to remember him for like his, like, especially this year, and then like say next year is just as bad, because this is the first time in his career he's ever had a losing season. Yeah. So it's kind of like part of me is like, bro, hang it up and go out while you're still on top. But then another part of me is kind of like, I don't think he's going to do that because he's had nothing but success, and I don't think he wants to step away on a season that's been his worst season. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know what he can do. I hope he hangs it up, but it wouldn't surprise me if he came back either. So,
I mean, maybe he stays and You know, you heard it here first. He's gonna pull a Geno Smith. He's gonna go to the New York Jets. He's gonna take them to the playoffs, leading the division. It's that would be insane. That would be pretty crazy.
He'll go
I
to
don't
Green
know.
Bay, bro, and win him a Super Bowl. Show everybody
Yeah,
what Aaron Rodgers is all about.
yeah, don't forget about Aaron Rodgers.
I just said that because Tatsuya was in chat. All right, so yeah, but the first week, like last weekend of games, was awesome. There's only 2 games where it was pretty much like pretty well decided early on how the teams were going to do and what the expectations kind of were. But yeah, everything was pretty entertaining, which is always good. This weekend, so it'd be the 21st. You have your divisional divisional matchups. So we have the number 6 seed, the New York Giants facing the Philadelphia Eagles. You also have the Dallas Cowboys facing the San Francisco 49ers. The Giants-Eagles game is Saturday night at 8:15 on Fox. And then Dallas and San Francisco is Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. on Fox. And then your AFC matchups, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. That's Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on NBC. And then Sunday at 3 p.m., you have the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills, 3 p.m. on CBS. Let's start with Philadelphia and the Giants. Philadelphia had a first-round bye, so they should be well-rested. Jalen Hurst was banged up at the end of the season. Kind of played the last game, like hurt, banged up. So they should be like rested. What do you think? What are your like projections for this game?
Man, it's tough to say. You know, when it comes to like, I know that they really needed that bye week for Jalen Hurts and everything, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about teams getting a bye week sometimes, because sometimes I feel like that can put those teams that are in a rhythm or on a roll into a rut, because they kind of stop. You know, you stop all the momentum. You just kind of you practice for a week and you kind of just do that, but you're not really like in that game mode. And then I guess it's just gonna depend if they can switch back on, you know, what they had going in the regular season, or the Eagles gonna come out slow and sluggish or rusty because they haven't been in the action for a little bit. You know what I mean? Sometimes it seems to not benefit teams to have that week off versus like having that week to week, so that you stay in the same mode constantly without getting out of it. So that's going to be interesting to see. The Giants came off a really big win, so you know that they're going to be in that mode. You know, automatically off the top, they're going to be there to play hard and win that game. So you'll probably see a better Giants team than you've been seeing play that they played last time. They're definitely going to be playing a better Giants team than they played last time. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I think it's probably going to be a lot of a back and forth with the offense. The Giants defense hasn't really played great all year, but recently, within the last few weeks, they've really stepped up their game on defense and getting important stops and stopping the run. And that's going to cause the Eagles to throw more if they can stop the run. And I kind of feel like if you force Jalen Hurts to throw a lot more than and shut down the run, especially him running, you have a better chance with that offense that they have to go out there, score some touchdowns, and get the lead. And maybe even keep that throughout the game and win, you know? So it's going to be a close one, man. It's really hard to say, but I feel like both teams are going to make it close. But, yeah, I think the Giants are going to come out ready to go in this one. Philadelphia maybe a little rusty, and I think the Giants are jumping on pretty early. As far as the outcome, I mean, it's going to be hard to say. But I'm thinking the Giants might have a chance to get in this one, because they've been if they can do what they did to an offensive team like the Vikings, which I know that the Eagles have a better defense, but if they can play against the Vikings offensively, they'll still make it a good challenge for that defense, and then they do have some opportunities to possibly stop the Eagles on offense. So I can see the Giants getting a slim victory. I think they definitely have a chance to win this game.
I said and by the way, Tatsuya said once a cheater, always a cheater when it comes to Tom Brady. I think you would change your tone if he won y'all a Super Bowl, though. Just saying. And then Bunny, what's up, Bunny? How you doing tonight? And And then for those of you that are like listening late or tuning in late podcasts and stuff, we are streaming live on YouTube this episode. So that's why we're talking to some people in chat. We appreciate y'all being here. The Vikings Giants game, one of the things that I said needed to happen, in my opinion, for the Giants to have a chance was for the Giants to be able to come out fast and start fast, and that Daniel Jones had to really utilize his legs and play like his best game, in my opinion. Everybody knows what the Giants have in Saquon Barkley, but like that's one piece in the past that if you could just basically control and contain, you pretty much were beating the Giants. Now that Daniel Jones has become like a multi-threat, that's something else you have to account for. And in that game, he played probably the best game of his season. He went 24-35, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran and carried the ball 17 times for 78 yards, while Barkley carried it for 9 for 53. I think some of that was by design, but I also expect to see a lot more of Saquon Barkley like running the ball this week, but also being a lot more involved in the passing game as well. So I think they kind of need to utilize that same concept of getting him involved and like creating better situations for Daniel Jones. I think they'll have a good chance against the Eagles. If they come out like they did against them in the regular season and play, the Eagles will stick to what they do best. They'll control the game, control the tempo of the game. The Eagles are pretty good about time management too. And that's something against like a good team like that can manage the clock. They don't give you very many opportunities to come back and score on them and stuff. They don't give you many opportunities to have the ball back in your hands. So New York's got to be careful with the football. They can't turn it over. They got to manage the clock, and they got to pretty much just come out with the same game plan of getting as many guys involved as possible early on. And strike quick and strike fast. And I honestly think it's going to say a lot about the Eagles and how they come off of their bye, because I'm pretty sure. Let me go back and look at them real quick. We'll go back here.
I mean, what's crazy too is that the Eagles. I mean, look, this is coming from a Cowboys fan too. At the end of the day, their defensive line is no joke. They're a really bunch of tough guys up there, and they've got some other role players back too on the defense. They have a pretty tough defense. The Giants are going to definitely face some challenges they didn't face this last game against Minnesota, and that defense that their coordinator just got fired from today because it's just bad. I feel like because we already know the Eagles are going to run a lot of run pass options. They're going to do a lot of design quarterback runs and sweeps and all kinds of stuff like that, right? And Jalen Hurts is going to use his legs. I think they have to go right back at it like they did this game against the Vikings and just do the same thing. They need to run some run plays. Daniel Jones has to use his legs. Make some design runs for Daniel Jones. I think that's pretty important. And it's kind of funny because I feel like in the NFC East, because the teams, Dallas, the Giants, and the Eagles, we all have the ability to kind of run those plays. And the quarterbacks are still relatively young and have speed on them. And that's an extra threat that you have when you think about the speed on the offensive side of the ball. So I could see this maybe being a high-scoring game. I mean, if they're really getting after it, especially Daniel Jones using his legs and running the ball, and so is Jalen Hurts, it could be a high-scoring game. But if they can do that and they can kind of meet them with that kind of energy, and like you said, play real similar to what they did against the Vikings, they could definitely make this a really good ball game.
I was looking back to see when the Eagles' bye was, and they had a bye on looks like week 7, and after their bye, it was that third week is when they had their first loss, and their production started to slip a little bit. They played the Steelers after their bye week. Steelers were done. at that point in the season.
Oh, yeah.
But then that's when they played Houston, and that was I think that Thursday night game where Goddard had like 4 touchdowns or something crazy. But they like were really struggling offensively. It ended up being 29-17. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out after they've had a bye and time off. What I see from the Eagles side, and this is where I think New York is going to struggle. I see Jalen Hurts using his legs a lot. I see him being like a big workhorse for them. They have really struggled running the ball last few weeks of the season. They could have been doing that on purpose too, to try to save Sanders and get him rested up for the playoffs. But I don't know. I just see Jalen Hurts kind of regressing back to where he used to be and starting to be more of a runner. You know, that's kind of what I see happening. And I think that's where New York will struggle because they do have a lot of weapons and Devontae Smith, they have AJ Brown, Goddard, Sanders, like they do have some weapons. So I don't know, man. Like the Eagles, it's one of those things where you just got to kind of pick your poison. And, you know, are you going to focus on Hurts and basically spy him, make sure he doesn't beat you with his legs, or you're just going to sell out and have a bunch of like 2 deep coverage and try to keep everything in front of you?
Yeah.
Give up a lot of runs to Sanders. So but we'll see what happens. Definitely I think it'll be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. The previous matchups, they faced New York at the beginning of the season, or at the end of the season, won 22-16. And then the second time they played them, they beat them 48-22. They kind of stomped them pretty good there. But I think that's when New York actually had like a lot of injuries too. So
yeah, man, and some people are talking about like this is the first time that the Giants and the Eagles are facing each other at relatively full strength. So that's gonna be interesting to watch. And then for any of you out there that are a fan or ever played the position or just know like how it goes in the trenches, a big battle coming down with Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle and captain on that Giants defense. I mean, that dude is a whole unit, man. He's a beast. He's gonna be facing up against another beast himself and one of the best pass protectors, or just in general, Jason Kelsey. And that's gonna be a good matchup to watch, to kind of just keep an eye out on those big boys up front, because that's gonna determine, you know, if the Giants are putting pressure or not, and that's gonna make a big difference in a lot of things that'll play out in that game. So keep an eye out for number 97 and 62. That's going to be a good matchup, man. That's going to be one of the more exciting things to see. And it's like, as I've gotten older, I mean, you know, you like watching the running backs and the receivers because you want to see big plays and scores and stops. But sometimes I feel like we overlook how important the things that are going on in the trenches and that offensive line, you know, and how that really dictates what happens next or the trend that the game goes into. So it's been nice kind of noticing that more and paying attention a lot more in the game, because those are fun matchups to watch when you see these guys one guy's trying to push the other, the other dude's trying to get him out the way, and it's just, you know, it gets kind of crazy, gets kind of hectic, but yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. I can't wait.
All right, let's break down Jacksonville Chiefs. What are your thoughts on this game?
Jacksonville Chiefs, I'll tell you right now, I feel like because the Chiefs have done this a couple of times already, several postseasons in a row where they do play a week later, or they get that week break and don't play to the divisional round and come out and really be on fire. I don't feel like it's going to be any different.
Yeah,
they're still going to be that Kansas City Chiefs team. Now, I know Jacksonville just had that huge comeback, but they're going to have to understand that against this team, they probably would not survive making half of the mistakes they made against the Chargers. So that's already one thing for sure. It should be a good game offensively for both teams, but ultimately I know, you know, definitely the Chiefs have a better defense and that they'll get it figured out like they have been. I'm not saying Jacksonville doesn't have a shot at all, but most likely they're probably going to find out that this is not they're not they're not playing the Chargers. They can't make those mistakes. It's when they're getting beat, they're getting beat. I just think the Chiefs are just an overall better football team than the Jaguars. They didn't really show me enough. Well, besides the comeback, right? But it doesn't feel like they'll be consistent enough to play like that because they haven't. And that was just like one of those games where, yeah, part of it is their efforts to try to come back, but also the other part of it is one of the worst defenses that you played against in the NFL that all year has let this happen to them.
Yeah,
I'm not fully sold on Jacksonville, so I feel like the Chiefs are going to come out playing pretty good, man, and they're going to probably be firing all cylinders like Mahomes and the gang know how to do, like they've been doing. That's what I expect to see.
I think, I think Jacksonville is going to have to do a lot of different. They're going to have to throw everything they can at the Chiefs, in my opinion. Okay, because the Chiefs, they're going to be able to put up points. Okay, so you have to keep Mahomes and them off the field. But dude, this Chiefs team, especially in the last game of the year, I don't know if you saw the play they ran where they did the little carousel in the huddle.
Yeah, I did see that.
Instead of that, just ran up, got set, snapped the ball, did a reverse, threw it to Pat. Pat threw it across the field, and it was just bro, what kind of backyard crap was that? Yeah, and it was just crazy. It didn't work, and the guys just go run off the field, smiling, high-fiving, and I'm just dude, what the hell was that? And
yeah, that was just probably one of those ones where the offensive coordinator says, we're going to have some fun. We've had such
but that's what I'm saying. That team has just got a swagger about them this year, and they've always been good. And I don't know, it's just something different. Their mindset is different this year. They're playing extremely loose, and I think this is going to be one of the games. I could be completely wrong, but I think this game right here will be the only game of the weekend where the score will be. It won't even be comparable. It'll be like a Dallas and 49ers first round game. I think they'll end up beating them 35-14 or 35-13.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to handle them pretty easily. And I could be wrong too, because if you play devil's advocate with the Jaguars in that first half, what if those balls don't get tipped and there's 3 picks? What if they don't fumble and there's a 4th turnover? What if all those things happen? Bro, you could have had 27-0 Jacksonville in the first half. Who knows? But I just don't think defensively they're going to be able to contain them and stop them like they did the Chargers in the second half. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. So this will be the only game of the weekend where there'll be a comfortable margin of victory. That's how I see it going.
Man, I feel like this is a big legacy season for Mahomes. Because if he were to be able to win it all this year, for what it would be his third ring? His third Super Bowl ring?
No. He's only got one.
He's only got one, right?
Yeah, he won one. He lost one.
Oh yeah,
and then, so this will be his third trip.
His third trip, but his second ring. That's right.
Yeah.
If he would have won.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that would make it be pretty significant because obviously he's great, right? But a lot of quarterbacks, have had before at one point, when you talk about quarterbacks in NFL history, have won a Super Bowl, just one. I mean, as great as it is, and that's the ultimate prize and accomplishment, of course, but it's you're in a category when you've won one, which is a more larger pool of players. When you start winning a second and a third and a fourth, that's when you really start to separate yourself from the rest and everybody and go into history as that guy. So I'm pretty sure, knowing how the kind of competitor he is, and I mean how good he is in his career, he's gonna win a few more.
Oh yeah, I think
at some point. So it's this is him playing for, not just for the team, but this is going to go big for his legacy if he can win another ring, because that's going to put him in that category above where all these other guys are at. I mean, he can only go up higher from there and continue to climb, So that's pretty exciting to see, and that's going to propel him to play better. And then I know the game hasn't happened yet, but I am definitely hoping for a Chiefs and Bengals rematch. I really want to see that rematch in the AFC Championship game, and I feel like if Patrick Mahomes is able to overcome that too, and the Jags, I feel like they're definitely like almost for sure going to win the Super Bowl, because it's going to be Patrick Mahomes at his best, really gunning to get that next ring. But that's how I'm feeling about the Chiefs right now. I feel like if they're playing like they've been playing all year, it's going to be really almost near impossible to stop them. I mean, especially Patrick Mahomes. He's just playing outstanding football. Remember those? I think it was last season. He kind of had like a little stint at the end where he wasn't playing his best or kind of looking off the rest. But like that just hasn't been him for like the last, I don't know, 2-3 months now.
Yeah,
the dude's just on fire.
Him and Joe Burrow have been playing at a very high level the past couple months. Like they're right, in my opinion, the MVP race is like between those two, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with you, man. Like if he can get back to the Super Bowl this year, this will be his third Super Bowl in, I believe, 4 years. If he can win it, he will have won 2 out of 4. And we've talked about it before. Just because you get to a Super Bowl does not mean you're ever guaranteed to get back to one. Matt Ryan is a perfect example of that. He got to the Super Bowl. They ended up getting beat. He had a lot of the same players around him, and they've not been the same team since. It's kind of like that team's been cursed. But yeah, man, I think they're going to handle this weekend. I think they're focused. I honestly think, going back to, let me see what week it was. The week that they played the Bengals, and they lost 27-24. I think it was that point where they kind of like, it's like the light bulb went off, and it was like, hey, like we need to start getting serious again because we're not the top dogs. Like there's some other dogs in the the yard now that we got to worry about with the Bills and the Bengals. Because I'm very confident in saying like they probably perceived their only threat was to be the Bills, and then now the Bengals, they've played them 3 times and they haven't beat them yet. So it says something right there, because they played them twice last year, played them once this year and stuff. So I don't know. I think this weekend's gonna be a cakewalk for them,
yeah,
honestly.
It's gonna be pretty crazy.
Let's go ahead.
No, what I was gonna mention is that with the Bengals and the Bills, due to that unfortunate event, with their safety, with Hamlin, man, they had to, of course, they didn't continue that game and they didn't make it up. So we kind of, that would have been like a chance to get the preview had everything went like I was supposed to. We would have got a preview of this game and kind of get an idea of what was going to happen. But now that it's happening, it's pretty exciting, because it's not only going to get a first look at these two teams play each other for the first time this year. Like, this is going to be the only time this year. Like, this is it. This is the game. These are two teams that haven't faced each other yet this year. It's a big moment. It's a big game. It's going to be a really good game, man. Because I mean, even if the Bills end up winning, seeing the Chiefs play the Bills again would be pretty exciting again. Just like how it ended up last year too. So
and this like that whole event ended up being like a whole thing of like coin flip and all this stuff, and there was like a lot of like, no, we don't need to do this. Well, we got to figure this out. Yeah. And that 100% dictated who went where. So like, if that seeding would have changed, the Bengals would have been the 2 seed, and they would have been playing at home, and the Bills would have been going there. So they would have had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. My concern is with the Bengals. I've said this all year long about the Bills. The Bills are very inconsistent. They either have games where They come out and they dominate from the start. They put their mark on the game, they control it, and they win by a comfortable margin. Or it's like they come out and they can go down and score real quick, but then their defense can't stop anybody. And like you look at Miami, the Bills are much better than Miami, but a lot of people were ruling them out. And I was like, dude, Miami can put up points.
Yeah,
like,
it was a close game.
And they hung right with them with their third string quarterback. And now you have a week of Joe Burrow, who has a lot of offensive weapons around him. The only thing that is very daunting for the Bengals is their offensive line. They had 2 more offensive linemen get hurt this past week. One of them had a dislocated kneecap. He's most likely not going to play. They got another one who's got like a really bad ankle who hasn't been practicing. So it's kind of like here was this like the one gap on the Bengals offensive like unit was their offensive line that already has been shaky all year. Now you got even more guys banged up. It's like, what are you going to do with this situation? So I think the biggest thing is, can they create pressure from the Bills defense? Because the Bills defense has holes in it too.
Yeah.
So like, can they create pressure from the Bills defensive side? But on the other side of it is, can the Bengals actually get something going offensively that doesn't require Burrow to do like 5 and 7 step drops?
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, they don't really have like a true quick game where it's like 1-2, get it out, like Tom Brady's old Patriot offenses.
Yeah.
Their stuff is more like deep intermittent routes, like rub routes off each other that take time to develop, screens, things like that. So I'm very interested to see what the play calling is this week for the Bengals, because I feel like Burrow is going to have to be a lot faster with the ball this week. And if they can do that, I think they'll win. And I'll say this right now. I think whoever wins this game between these two teams is the one that's going to the Super Bowl. That's like my pick for the playoffs is whoever wins this matchup between the Bengals and the Bills. I think that team is going to be the one that makes it to the Super Bowl, personally. I could be wrong, though.
I think maybe if is the Bengals maybe kind of utilize some of those out routes and some of those phasing things and kind of keep away from the middle of the field where some of their better defensive players are available right now, like Edmonds and some of the other linebackers they got. They might be able to get it. I mean, dude, they still got Higgins and they still have Jamar Chase. So
that's going to be an interesting.
Those guys are going to eat no matter what.
What do you think is going to be the outcome of that? Because Higgins is the one that had that hit and interaction with Hamlin. You think there's going to be like any animosity over that, or you think like they're kind of just realize like, guys, like a football play, man, it wasn't anything personal?
I don't think there'll be any animosity, but I don't think at all that they're gonna like hold back either. They're still gonna be trying to play hard, and if they can get them to drop that ball, if they can get them a hard hit and drop that ball, that's what they're gonna do. I don't think like they actually take it personal, because it was just a football play, and it was kind of like, because we've seen, growing up, right? All the years we watched football, like back from the 90s into the 2000s. Guys used to get like completely obliterated, like loud pop, smacked fast. Like you would think that they would have to go to the hospital. No, they were usually they were able to get up, and worst thing, they got concussion. Sometimes even still played, which is terrible. They used to play through that, but they don't now. They protect players from it, but that what happened to him was just like a freak accident, like just. He didn't even get hit in that way that we've seen back in the day, like some ferocious hits. And unfortunately, he had cardiac arrest, and that was a really scary thing for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think the players would have any kind of animosity about it, just because it's like it was just one of those things. It wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't like this huge big hit where everybody stands up and was like, "Oh my God!" It was just he got hit, he got back up, he stood back up like normal, collapsed, and then the events that transpired after that. So. But they're going to come out playing hard. I think they're going to have to probably lean more on Jamar Chase, and they should because he's a number one receiver. I mean, the dude second season having a fantastic season in only his second year. I can definitely see Jamar Chase giving them big problems in the secondary, especially with the injuries that they have right now.
You know who I think is going to be a big impact player is Hayden Hurst.
Oh,
That is a tight end I picked up this year in fantasy.
okay.
That guy was let go from, I think he was with the Falcons, and then he got let go by the Falcons. And I don't know if you know about his story, but he actually was at a point where he sat down and was like, I think I'm done with football forever. Because it really messed him up, him not being able to play as much, and then he got let go by a team and nobody was picking him up, and he just was kind of at a point where he's like, I think I'm just done with football forever. And then here come the Bengals, they come calling, and he basically was kind of like that relit the fire and passion for football for him and gave him that spark to compete. And dude, the guy, the Bengals have so many weapons already that he gets lost in that crowd. And he has been, in my opinion, a big playmaker for them all year, because he's not getting he's not a Travis Kelce where he can rack off 100 yards easy. But he's a guy that has always been a reliable outlet all year that has sustained drives. He's been a guy that's been able to pick up the first down for them to keep that drive going. So he's not going to make a big 40, 50-yard play, but he'll get you 10, 12 yards because a lot of people aren't really focusing on him. And I think he's going to have a big impact in this game because Joe Burrow and him have a very good connection with each other. So,
and that's more of a complete offense to have. I mean, when you got Higgins, you got Chase, you got Joe Mixon,
you got Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd, and then now you got him. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, if he can contribute like he's been contributing all season, I could definitely see him making plays. I mean, that's probably, some of the reasons too. Well, we can get into when we talk about we already talked about it. The Bucks and the Cowboys. That's kind of one of the reasons that Schultz had some success in getting those touchdowns because they were using CeeDee Lamb and Gallup as decoys, or Tony Pollard. They'd have him go out wide or something. They're using them as decoys, and everybody's so focused on those explosive athletes that they forgot about the tight end. And Dalton Schultz was able to get 2 touchdowns. I could definitely see him. That certain situation, you're so worried about where's Higgins, where's Chase, where's Joe Mixon, because these guys are game wreckers, and then you forget about the tight end, something like that. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening for them, the same way it was able to happen for Dallas for sure.
What do you think the outcome of this game is going to be? What do you think the score is going to be?
Ooh, what do I think the score is going to be? That's a good question. Man, I feel like it's going to be close, man. I feel like it's going to be close. But I feel like, if Joe Burrow and the offense can get hot, can jump on them fast and get hot, and their defense can be solid and stay solid, it could probably end up being something like maybe 34-28.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that. I think I could see
something where it was they were close, but at some point I feel like the Bengals might be able to pull away a bit there at the end and be able to sustain whatever lead that they have, at the end there.
See, and because when the game ended for the Buffalo Bengals game, it was 7-3.
Yeah,
and the Bengals looked very good offensively against their defense. So I think it's going to be one of those chess matches where it takes a little bit to get going, but the Bengals will eventually kind of figure it out. It all just depends on their defensive or offensive line. I think their defense, though, if their defense can get 3 or 4 stops and get off the field, that's what's going to really help them take some pressure off the offense. But it would not surprise me, man, if it was a 34-31 type game again that they had against the Dolphins. But I personally think the Bengals are going to win this. I hope they win it. But same time, I say I hope they win it because I'm right down the road from Cincinnati, essentially. But I like Josh Allen a lot. I like Stephon Diggs a lot. I would like to see them also get to a Super Bowl as well. So whoever comes out of this I'll be happy with either one, but I do think out of this game, this is going to dictate who's going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. All right, let's get to the final game. All right, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams looked tremendous in the first round. It was honestly pretty scary how both these teams looked in the first round. And it kind of sucks, in my opinion, that they're having to play each other. I think this is your like conference championship matchup, to be honest. I think out of this game, whoever comes out of this game, and if they come out of this game healthy, because this is going to be a very, very physical matchup between both teams. But I think whoever comes out of this game and they come out healthy, this is going to the Super Bowl. I think, like, these two teams right now, the way they've been playing, that defense got back to looking like the defense that we've seen earlier in the year. The offense was clicking. The play calling was so good from Kellen Moore. Like, I think that was his best called game all year, personally. He kept it balanced. He kept everything, like, in sync with what the game plan was. He didn't try to throw any crazy wrinkles or do anything off the cuff, as they say. So, but what are your thoughts, man? Like, this is your team. What are your thoughts going into it?
Well, I mean, I could sit here and, talk about how, like, a rookie quarterback's never made it to the NFC Championship game, and how, the odds of that happening are slim, or that we're not afraid of rookie quarterback. At the end of the day, Brock Purdy is as a professional. He's there for a reason, and he's been able to win the games that he's been winning for a reason. So definitely don't take him lightly, or any of this team lightly. Last year we were able to host him in Dallas, and unfortunately we came up short. And a big part of that was not only due to their play, but also on our end too, with how many mistakes and penalties we made, and just shooting ourselves in the foot so constantly. I feel like this is going to be a big time. Like, this is a game that they definitely want. Like, this is like a revenge game. Like, the same way they did with the Bucks. I think they're going to go in there and be all over Purdy, because at the end of the day, they got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, they got George Kittle, pretty decent running back. So much versatility.
Pretty decent running back, bro. He's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's pretty good. So those are all weapons that we're going to have to account for. But where they're the weakest, that I still believe that they're going to be the weakest, that is going to be Brock Purdy. Whether the moment's too big for him or not, Dallas needs to go out there and need to put pressure on him and make him uncomfortable. They need to be on his ass, basically. Like they cannot give him time to sit back there, because it's not even the fact that if he can make the throw, it won't even need to be that great of a throw because of the athletes that he's throwing to. You know what I mean? You got some of the best receivers. I mean, George Kittle is just about as every good as catching as any of his receivers. As about as good as you can get. So it's going to be a tough game for sure. It's going to be physical, but I think we could put pressure on Purdy and disrupt him. I think we'll have a good chance at making him make mistakes, especially in a big game like this that he hasn't had the opportunity to play in against the team that he hasn't played. So that's going to be a big thing. Another thing is our offensive line. I really hope that our rookie is up to the task of blocking someone like Joey Bosa, because he's been playing great all year. I don't think Jason Peters is going to be available. Unfortunately, he's didn't practice today because of a hip injury. I'm hoping we get some better news tomorrow, Saturday at the latest. But we're going to definitely need to do our best to defend from Nick Bosa, because that dude's just a monster. I mean, they have in general a pretty monstrous defense, both the linebacking core and on the defensive line. So that's going to be another big thing, controlling the line of scrimmage. It's going to be hard to run Pollard or Zeke or anything. I think we're going to see a lot of sweeps, maybe some pitches, maybe some misdirections to get Pollard the football and go to the opposite side from where Bosa's at, because that would be the smartest thing to do. Dak's gonna probably have to get the ball out of there, man. Like it's gonna have to probably be like a 3-second drop back, and can have to count in his head 1, 2, and get it out because Bosa is gonna be coming from one of those sides, and it's gonna be a problem. So I feel like we got to be quick, we got to be decisive, and we got to try to do some misdirection. And most importantly, please do not abandon running the football, and then start having Dak throw 30 times or throw 6 times in one drive because it's just not gonna work, and it's not at his best when we're doing that. And to be fair, your quarterback shouldn't be throwing that much in one row consistently. So hopefully we can do those things, man. Try to control the offensive line of scrimmage and be solid on defense as best we can because they have a stacked team, man. But I think that Brock Purdy is going to be their biggest weakness if we can make him their weakness. You know what I mean?
So bringing up Brock, okay, he's got over 1,300 yards passing. He's got 13 touchdowns. I think 3 or 4 interceptions. I feel like he's played. Did he play against Seattle? I think that was like his first game.
I think it was his first game.
Let me see. Yeah. So there's that one. And what's funny about like Brock is Tampa Bay. No, he played against Tampa Bay. When did he play? Like when did he start? Miami?
They've had I will tell you this: the secondary for San Francisco, I've seen them get diced up a bit sometimes. I think that if guys like CeeDee Lamb can really get out there and play their best game, they're gonna give some of these cornerbacks problems in San Francisco. That's for sure. And these guys are fresh and healthy, and they're ready to go. And you know, they're not going to be able to blanket all 3 dudes: Schultz, Gallup, and him. And then you got T.Y. Hilton that we still have that kind of made some good catches for us against Tampa Bay. I think we can definitely use that matchup to expose it because Michael Gallup was eating that game, even though they're not really big passes, but it was a lot of short, quick stuff, and we're going to need to do a lot of that because of this defense that 49ers are going to be bringing a crazy blitz, man. But I think with the way that we played, we can do a similar game plan offensively like we did against Tampa. It's going to work for us.
So Brock has played. He took over in Miami, or the Miami game. So he has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, and he has 4 interceptions. Okay.
Yeah.
But with that being said, this is the defenses that he's faced. Okay. Miami, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Washington, Las Vegas, and Arizona. Out of that group, Tampa Bay probably has the best defense out of that group, in my opinion. But they still put up 35 points on them. So Tampa Bay's defense hasn't been that great. The closest game was Seattle and Las Vegas, surprisingly. But with that being said, out of 6 games, he's thrown 4 picks. This is going to be the best defense he's seen. Yeah, and I personally think if your defense can come out and give production like they did last week, it's going to definitely put him in a situation he hasn't been in yet this year. And kind of just going through his stats real quick, the guy hasn't really had a bad game. And I think the reason for that is because of the defenses he's facing, but also the weapons that he has. The more weapons you have around your quarterback, the easier his job is.
Yeah.
But
that's why we got to make it hard.
But he hasn't had that bad game yet where it's he hasn't had that Trevor Lawrence moment where it's holy crap, everything I'm doing right now is resulting in a turnover and in points. What is going on? Because I'll say this, Brock Purdy, what a lot of people may not understand about him was this guy played at Iowa State. And last year, he chose to go back to school instead of going to the NFL. His junior year, he was being considered a first round or early second round draft pick. And then he went back to school last year for his senior year, and his team sucked. And he just all of a sudden went from being like, dude, this guy could be a first, second rounder to he had like one of the worst college seasons he's had, and he became Mr. Irrelevant, and then he's getting drafted at the end of the freaking draft. You know? So like this guy, when I saw him coming out and playing, I was like, Brock Purdy, that name sounds familiar. And then when they started talking about him at Iowa State, I was like, dude, yeah, this is that quarterback that was like projected so high, and then all of a sudden he's the last pick of the draft. And it's like, what happened? All this stuff. So the guy's good. He was good at Iowa State, but I just think with what like your offense can do or your defense can do and how dynamic they can be, I think you can cause a lot of issues for him. The only thing with that is though, is he does have the ability to escape the pocket. He can be productive with his legs, but I don't know, man. Like, I feel like the hard part for Dallas this week isn't anything offensively. I think it's defensively. I think it's more of a picking and choosing when to roll the dice and take those chances on defense to try to apply pressure, because if you time it right, you can get them for a big loss. You know, if you time it wrong, it could be 6 with the athletes they got.
Yeah.
And that's how dangerous the 49ers are, you know, with what they have on offense and how well developed they are. And it's the same thing for them too, like defensively and offensively. Like they can roll the dice, put pressure on you guys, and you guys can put 6 on them real quick, or you can end up taking some long yardage like sacks and stuff, you know. I will say I did like seeing Dak use his feet. I think that was a big game changer, because a lot of blitzes and stuff that the Bucs try to dial up, you could tell it was more of a bring pressure from the outside, knowing that Dak will like kind of just stay up in the pocket, but the fact that then he could take off, I don't think they really accounted for his ability to run, because he was able to help extend drives. I think he might have to do that again this week. But I think this game, personally, in my opinion, is for Dallas's defense, you cannot let Christian McCaffrey get going.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
I think if you can contain him, then you guys will be okay. I think if he starts getting loose and he starts popping off big runs and then he starts getting involved in the passing game, that's where a lot of teams have failed, because then it just opens everything up for them. Because in any like RPOs you do with him, that's pulling your defense up automatically. And then you got Debo, Kittle, Ayuk running around right behind y'all. So I think containing Christian McCaffrey is a huge key for your guys' defense. And then offensively, I think what you got to do is, I think you need to sit Zeke to start the game. I think you need more speed against this defense. I think you need players that can get out quick. Tony Pollard is that guy. Zeke just doesn't have that initial burst like he used to. The guy's been in the league for what, 8 years now? 9 years?
This is 8th year, yeah.
8th year. Like, that's, I mean, you're slowing down over time, you know? It's nothing against the guy, but like, it's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Pollard, you could just tell when Pollard is in the game, the tempo of the offense is so much more, it's just faster. The play calls seem to be more like, you just seem to have like more plays rack up yards quicker than when like Zeke is in there. It's more of a kind of like, in my opinion, basic offense. Like, here, we're going to go off tackle. Then we're going to go like slants and across the middle of the field. We'll go off tackle. We'll try to go downfield. Whereas when Pollard's in there, it's all of a sudden like, okay, we're in between the tackles. We're running a sweep. We're doing screens. It just seems more versatile, in my opinion. And I love Zeke. Zeke is my boy. I got his jersey back behind me.
I mean, I'll always be grateful for everything he's done for the team. And when it's all said and done, he's going to be one of the best running backs we ever drafted because of his work ethic
yeah.
and what he's been able to do, and how consistently he's been able to do it.
But
yeah, I
I
mean, at
think
some point,
with the offensive side of it, I think you really got to get Pollard involved a lot earlier than what you guys did this like against the Bucks. And I personally would, wherever Nick Bosa's at, that is where Pollard's lining up at, and I am chipping him all day long and then getting out in the flats. I'm literally chipping that guy because he alone can get around Tyron Smith and your rookie. So so you gotta chip that guy. You gotta slow him down.
Man, I'd kind of rather have Zeke do the chipping just because Nick Bosa is a monster. Like, if anyone's listening, Nick Bosa is a freaking monster, dude. Like, the guy is huge. He's built like 2 Hummers put together. Like, have you ever seen like an action figure hero? He's literally an action figure hero in real life. That he's just a huge dude with just like the dude's a monster. Okay, and so I feel like Tony Pollard could be a decent blocker, but I think I'd rather have Zeke out there because he's got some size to him.
But see, that's the thing, though, is that like
get bulldozed by this Nick Bosa for no reason.
That's the thing, though. I'm not talking about Pollard blocking him. I'm talking about Pollard chipping him.
Yeah, okay.
Like, go over, chip off him, slow him down, so that way your tackle can actually get set and get position on him because he's so fast off the line, man. That's the biggest thing. And then now you got one of your more explosive backs that can now either like chip and give assistance to your tackle, but then now you can get him out in the field as a check down for your quarterback. That's now going to like slow that rush down a little bit and stuff, because that's what does help slow the rush down. If all these guys are dropping deep, and then all of a sudden you're just getting your reads, dumping out to Pollard, and he's a quick 8 yards up the field, that's going to start wearing down the defense. They're going to start slowing down a little bit, expecting him to be out in the flats.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think this needs to be like Micah Parsons, like coming out playoff game, like the playoff game where he just comes in and rocks it, because he's always been great. And of course, like a lot of times on defense, making a play isn't always getting a tackle or actually tackling the ball carrier. It's making disruptions, causing things to happen on the other side of the field for other players to have opportunities to make plays, and just causing that kind of a reaction on the team, which Michael Parsons always does, because you always have to account for him. But he didn't really register any statistics in the wild card game. It doesn't mean he wasn't doing good things for us and helping us out with that and applying pressure, because he definitely was. I just think this is a game where he needs to come out and actually put some numbers on the board, get some sacks, get some quarterback pressures, be there in Purdy's face, make them feel your presence, all that. I think this needs to be like the game where we say, man, Micah Parsons had an amazing divisional playoff game. Like, I think he needs to show up and do that.
I mean, with what he did, like, as far as disrupting Tom Brady, like, and I mean, I said earlier, like, it's the first time Tom Brady actually looked old to me, and that the game, like, just looked faster than what he could keep up with.
Yeah.
But that all could be contributed to with how much pressure Parsons put on him in that pocket. Because there's so many times where he's having to scramble and run around and then make a throw, and he doesn't have the arm strength like he used to. And I mean, bro, that's as good as a sack, with some of those throws he made, and they had so many 3 and outs because of that. So yeah, I think if he can just be disruptive like that again, like, the sacks will come, they'll come over time, but getting that offensive unit for the 49ers off the field, it's a W.
Crucial.
Yeah, that's a W every time. Man, this game, I think 2 of the biggest things in this game, I already said the Cowboys have to contain Christian McCaffrey. They cannot let him just run loose all over the field. They got to contain him. Second thing, Dak just needs to play like he did last week. Get your reads in quick. Get your check downs going. Get the ball out of the pocket, because this is one of those weeks where you can't really stand back there and hold it. So that's got to be a little quicker.
Yeah.
I think if he can play to the level he did last week, Cowboys offense will be fine.
Yeah.
As long as the Cowboys can actually like contain Christian McCaffrey, they'll be fine. Or Cowboys defense, they'll be fine. For the 49ers, their secondary has to be able to provide coverage. I think if their secondary locks down your all's wide receivers, you guys are going to have a rough day up front. Because if your guys can't get open, Bosa and those guys, they're going to get to Dak. So if their secondary like steps up and can actually contain your all's wide receivers, that's what's going to win them the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, because Metcalf and a couple of other receivers were kind of having a field day on their corners. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's repeated. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. This game, it's either going to be like high scoring or it's going to be a crazy like defensive battle. And you're going to have like a couple of those situations where those series where somebody misses a tackle and a person breaks loose and they score, and then it's just back and forth, or you're going to have a shootout, both teams putting up a lot of numbers and being back and forth. And I don't know, for your sanity, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a shootout or would you rather have like a defensive stance where it's like both teams are struggling to move the ball? But
yeah, I feel like there's just, man, I feel so. This is what Dak said at the end of the game about like what was different about playing against the Bucks and what changed, and with everything that was going on and the losing streak and the interception streak. And he was saying that he felt like during the season he was trying to force things and he wasn't playing the game and reading things and making decisions the way he used to. He wasn't no one's open. He wasn't taking off and using his legs. If he sees a first, whether he goes through his progression or not, and we need a big first or third down, if he knows he can get there with his legs, he'd take off and get that first down, like he did in the Bucks game. Like he wasn't doing that before. He's doing that now, and that he feels like he's just going to go with his playing how he's used to playing with his identity as a quarterback. I feel like if he can do that, then he will be able to play just like he did this past week. But at the end of the day, in my heart, I kind of feel like this game, even if he does play that way, which I'm sure he will, this game is still going to come down to like whoever's defense steps up first, or whoever's defense really gets their feet in the ground for this game. That's going to be the defense that carries your team to a victory, because both these offenses are really good. Both these teams have explosive players, multiple ones. It's going to be exciting to see, but that's how I feel, man. In my heart, I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be like one defense is just going to be playing better than the other one. It's probably going to be close, but in the end, the better defense is going to really buckle down and make some stops, or at least get a turnover or two, to get that lead and hold it. So, yeah, I don't know. I in my opinion, I kind of rather be like that, because I feel like shootouts are fun to watch. When you talk about a playoff game, a shootout, it kind of feels like, God, here it comes again, because we can't stop them this whole time. So it's kind of like you already know the result, But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I think it's going to be definitely a really good game, and it's going to be a better one than the first time we played them, because I don't see us like just shooting ourselves in the foot every drive and getting a holding penalty and all that, because we haven't been bad and terrible with penalties like we were last year. Like it's not been like that at all.
that's another thing I was going to bring up too. Both teams, like both sides of the ball on offense, they have to play a clean game.
Yeah,
like, you can't be putting yourselves in situations with penalties and just dumb mistakes like that. Because both these defenses are way too good that when offensively you put yourself in a situation like that, they're going to take advantage of that situation and stuff. So both sides of the ball offensively, they got to play a clean game. I think whoever wins this game, and like I said earlier, as long as they come out healthy, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't really have, I don't know, like I might change my opinion after seeing Philadelphia this weekend, but I just don't really have faith in Philadelphia. I think teams have kind of started to figure them out and everything.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? They could come out, have a whole completely different like game plan and stuff where they've had 2 weeks off essentially. So, but yeah, so you're going Cowboys. You're going
Yes,
to
sir.
Eagles. Is that right?
Giants.
You're going Giants, okay. Cowboys, Giants. And then you're going Chiefs. And did you say Bengals or Bills?
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Chiefs and Cincinnati.
Okay, I got Chiefs, Cincinnati. I'm gonna go Cowboys because I think Brock Purdy's gonna have like a bad game. Hopefully I'm not wrong.
Chiefs do.
And then I'm gonna go Eagles. I think the Eagles will get by the Giants. I think they're gonna lose that juice. They've been kind of riding the past couple weeks, but yeah. That's gonna wrap it up for us, guys. Hopefully we're right with our predictions this week and stuff.
I really hope I'm right.
but yeah, if the Cowboys end up winning the Super Bowl this year, Littl3Jakob already agreed he's getting a Dallas Cowboys like Super Bowl trophy on his chest, and he's gonna have like my face
Dude,
and his face.
I would have to get something because you never know. It might take another 20 years. So
I mean, you agreed on getting like my face and your face, and then instead of it saying Super Bowl, it says Selfless Little Gaming on it.
I'll be so excited. We could at least put a logo or something because I'll be so excited. I'll have to like commemorate it somehow.
Yeah. Bro, no offense, but like, if you ever got a tattoo of my face on your body, I may never talk to you again. No, but like, I just hope they're good games, man. Honestly, like, I know you as a fan are very invested in this and stuff. I don't really have like a true NFL team, but I just hope they're good games. Like, first round was very entertaining, very good football. So I just hope that continues on. But yeah. Like, we'll definitely see what happens.
I just wanted to be like last year was the most disappointing, mostly because I felt like we beat ourselves more than San Francisco beat us. So, if we go out there and we play our best ball and, and we're not over here making dumb mental errors and hurting ourselves, basically, and beating ourselves. And if we did lose, then I'd still be at least, proud of them and happy that we at least had that effort. But I feel like it's gonna be a good game, and I feel like no matter what happens, I'm gonna be glad how far we've come this season, especially with everything that's happened. So, yeah, it's gonna be a good game, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
There'll be some good games before that to kind of keep me occupied. So,
yeah. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Tetsuya and No Fear Bunny, thank you all for popping in the chat, watching, and everything. We greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get partner this year on YouTube, so be sure to like the stream. If y'all are listening at a later date, be sure to like watch some of the other podcasts, get those numbers up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you're checking us out for the first time, like, feel free to subscribe. I said before, down in the about section of the stream, I have my socials listed down there. I have Littl3Jakob's socials listed down there as well. Be sure to follow those and everything for updates. But I am Selfless_Gaming once again. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. And Littl3Jakob, close us out, brother.
Yeah, guys, Littl3Jakob, that's Little with the 3 instead of an E. You can also find me on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter. I also have a Facebook page. You can feel free to reach out to me on the socials. Oh, and there's also a YouTube. So feel free to reach out to me on the socials as well. Or through Selfless Gaming on YouTube.
We appreciate you guys. Always remember, take care of yourselves. Continue to take care of each other. And just know that you guys are one in a melon. All right? Good luck to your all's teams this weekend, and we will catch you next week. Peace.